ANKA. Stay tuned for updated real news.
The most important way to sustain a war is through constant replenishment. If an army does not receive enough reinforcements after a certain period of time, it loses much of its power. It is why army must not only train their soldiers before any battle, but also plan for the supply and transportations during the battle. If it fails to do so, it will probably suffer more losses during the resupply than on the front line, such is the situation in the Russian-Ukrainian war in recent days. Ukrainian intelligence has been performing quite successfully since the beginning of the war. Allegedly, Ukrainian intelligence has a unit that is particularly interested in the tracking Russian army shipments. It is reported that the sole task of this unit is to monitor only Russian shipments. Successful attacks by the Ukrainian army under Russian supplies also confirmed this claim. In recent days, a Russian convoy was destroyed as a result of the coordinated work of the Ukrainian armed forces and the Ukrainian intelligence officers. So, what are the details of all this incident? Let's examine it together. As ANKA Daily News team, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you in advance for your support, and let's start if you are ready. ANKA Daily News reports. Ukrainian armed forces troops continue their critical operations on the front line without a break. At many points, they are putting up fierce resistance against the Russian occupation forces. In the areas where heavy clashes are taking place, the losses of the Russian army are quite high. We observe that the ongoing Russian offensives, especially in the Avdiivka region, are no longer yielding any results. Moreover, the Russian army had stated that it would advance faster after capturing Avdiivka. However, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to stop the Russian army's advances near the water's reservoir. After furious clashes, Ukrainian forces managed to repel the Russian troops. The Russian army suffered heavy losses during the battles here, and it is also known that the west of Avdiivka was not the only point where the Russian army tried to advance. The Russian army was also trying to advance in Robotyne. The Ukrainian armed forces have a significant advantage here. The war is on the Ukrainian territory, therefore it is easier for the Ukrainian army to receive reinforcements and supplies here than the Russian army. But the Russian army does not have such a situation. The shipments of the Russian armed forces troops come from a long distance. This increases the likelihood that the supplies needed by the Russian army will be destroyed. Recently, Ukrainian military intelligence made an important observation. According to this detection, there was a convoy on its way to distribute it to the Russian army units in the vicinity of Avdiivka and Robotyne. This convoy contained a huge amount of military ammunition, food, and drinks. However, these supplies would never reach the Russian army because the Ukrainian armed forces had completed their preparations and were ready to destroy this convoy. The elite unit of the Ukrainian armed forces known as the Spartan Brigade took responsibility for the attacks on the Russian convoy that carried out this on the front line. According to reports, Spartan units of the 3rd Operational Brigade of the Ukrainian armed forces acted on the basis of information received from the Ukrainian intelligence. The convoy's route was clear, and the Ukrainian soldiers chose to strike this convoy with unmanned aerial vehicles. The unmanned aerial vehicles flown by the Spartan group after conducting reconnaissance in the interior of Donetsk Oblast from some time took up positions along the route of the Russian convoy. According to reports, the drones of the Ukrainian armed forces first shot down an ammunition truck in the Russian convoy, and then the ammunition truck was at the front of the convoy. At that moment, the ammunition truck exploded with a loud explosion. With the destruction of the front truck, the road was closed, and the truck coming from behind also had to stop due to the road closure. This time, the Ukrainian army drones took action to destroy these vehicles. According to reports, Ukrainian army drones caused other trucks in the convoy to explode with a great noise. Once again, the Ukrainian armed forces had achieved a significant success. While the Russian army was struggling with difficult situations on the front line, this operation made it certain that these difficulties would grow even more. Ukrainian intelligence was once again ahead of the Russian intelligence, and the Russian intelligence could have prevented this operation by being more careful under normal conditions. But in recent days, as you know, there have been many important developments related to the Russian intelligence, especially the failure of the Russian intelligence is causing reactions. Military experts who made statements about the intelligence capabilities of the Ukrainian armed forces made the following statements on the subject. Ukrainian military intelligence did not have a reputation in the espionage world, but there were myths created by the Russian intelligence agencies. The myth that the Russian intelligence was very powerful and successful was established all over the world. However, the developments show that all these myths were wrong. Ukrainian military intelligence has carried out a very successful operation. Since the beginning of the war, Ukrainian military intelligence has played a critical role in dealing significant blows to the Russian troops, especially in the front line. Russian intelligence, on the other hand, could not keep up with the Ukrainian intelligence. This resulted in heavy losses for the Russian army. Reports of the Russian intelligence failures are being ignored by the Russian leadership, but this will be costly if the Russian war leadership does not take the necessary measures against the Russian intelligence immediately. Ukrainian intelligence will make a historic breakthrough. The Ukrainian army is in a very advantageous position thanks to the Ukrainian intelligence, and maintaining this advantage could change the fate of the war. As can be seen, the successes of the Ukrainian intelligence is attracting the attention of the entire world. The operation carried out by the Ukrainian army in coordination with the Ukrainian intelligence are causing heavy losses to the Russian army. We think that the targets of the operations should be carefully analyzed. In particular, Ukrainian intelligence is leading operations to destroy Russian military convoys, ammunition depots, and strategic supply lines. This capability of the Ukrainian intelligence has put the Russian military in a corner. Well, that's also noteworthy that the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, has still not taken any action on this issue. And as I have just reported in our previous reports, Russian sources have been highly critical of this issue. However, Russian leader Vladimir Putin has still not initiated any work on the Russian intelligence. Therefore, the anger of the Russian sources is growing even more. So what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian military intelligence is successful? What do you think about the attacks of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Russian military convoys? Why do you think that the Russian armed forces are unable to stop Ukrainian attacks on the front line? Do you think Russian intelligence has failed? Share that with me in the comments, because I read and I care about all of the comments.
Пострел!